Okay, I'd like to call this special committee of the whole meeting to order. It is, let's see, Friday, May 23rd at 12:01. Addie, would you call the roll?
Cobb.
Here.
Kuda.
Here.
Petrus.
Here.
Larson. Here. Maddox. Russell. Posh.
All right, I'd like to
Here.
say that Davida Russell is here on Zoom. We can see you, Davida, and I think we can hear you. All right, terrific. So
Thank you.
let me make a few things clear before we go through the agenda. This is the first chance council has had to discuss the current situation since our meeting this past Monday. And I'm sorry we weren't able to schedule an evening meeting, but there was just no way to do that with staff not being available in the evening. So sorry to the people who wanted to attend but couldn't attend. After the mayor failed to address the community on Tuesday, and that was something the mayor said he was going to do Monday evening, and after texting him on Wednesday and getting no response, there was some concern about the mayor's well-being, both from staff and residents. And I scheduled this meeting during the day on Wednesday out of an abundance of caution. The mayor then surfaced Wednesday evening with a video, as many of you already know, and we're glad to see the mayor is here today. There is no public comment today. This is a committee of the whole meeting, but there will be public comment as usual on Monday, June 2nd at 7:30. So this is an informational meeting. This is how we talk. We are not voting. We may have questions for the assistant law director who is here today in the absence of our law director. That's Chris Heltzel, the assistant law director. And there may be some actions council may want to take, or we may just use this as a chance to gather and share information. We're going to use the 1 minute time limit, except for item number 4. I'll let you go 2 minutes on item number 4. And I'd like to wrap this up around 1 o'clock if we can. And if everybody could shut off their cell phones, that would be helpful. And I would like to remind council that we need to stick to these agenda items. Really appreciate that. The first item is the discussion of the mayor's whereabouts. We certainly can see he's here, and accessibility and ability to perform duties. So one of the things I wanted to ask the assistant law director was if you could explain if council, first of all, if council has a role, if the mayor is unavailable, and if there's anything in the charter that we need to be paying attention to. And as far as what our role would be if the mayor was inaccessible, even though this is not the case today.
Well, this was, of course, brought to the law department's attention yesterday. And so we started looking into it, but obviously it's an incredibly complicated question of charter and local ordinance interpretation. But the law department's understanding is that the inquiry circles around Article 4, Section 10 of the charter, which states that when the mayor is absent or inaccessible or is unable for any reason to perform the duties of mayor, the president of council shall act as the acting mayor with the same powers and duties as the mayor, but shall not thereby cease to be a member of council. It continues on in some relevant part, but obviously this is something that the law department will look into as soon as humanly possible, and we'll be able to provide council with a general legal opinion and analysis of the full extent of that provision. But it should be noted on the outset that this provision, it appears, was carried over from when there was a city manager form of government. Mm-hmm. In that context, what was being contemplated was a transfer of authority from an appointed city manager to the head of the authority that appointed that. In the present case with a strong mayor form of government, there is an issue of a intersection of separate powers between the legislative and executive branch, which further complicates the issue. Further complicating the issue is that separation of powers apply differently to charter municipalities as opposed to another state entity controlled directly by the Ohio Constitution, which is all by way of saying that it's not at all a straightforward issue as to how that transfer of power would be executed.
My head's. Any questions for the Assistant Law Director from Council? Yeah, go ahead.
No questions. Thank you very much for that information. I want to say that since Friday, May 16th, residents were asking, where's the mayor? And he did attend the regular council meeting on Monday, May 19th, and promised to make a statement, but was not heard from all day Tuesday and Wednesday, all day until he made his statement Wednesday evening. Residents were asking, is he okay? Because they were concerned about his personal well-being. In this moment, it became clear that the mayor chose not to communicate to indicate he was okay. Instead, he chose to remain inaccessible. This is not the behavior of a good leader. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from Council? All right. So I kind of look at the item 3, I'm sorry, which is discussion of the welfare of the community. That's what we're concerned about. So we can move to the next item, which is the discussion of the mayor's most recent comments.
Actually,
These were the Facebook
President,
comments.
Mr. President,
Yes,
before we move on,
yes.
would you allow me to
You can have 1 minute.
a minute? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I think it seems clear, at least to me, maybe to others, that this is in part an exercise in electoral politics. And while that's disappointing, it's not surprising. I received a text from you, Mr. President, asking if I was okay. I suppose you could have provided some additional information about some concern about my ability to fulfill the duties of my position. But what you asked was, are you okay? And for a variety of reasons that I'm sure people can understand, didn't feel like I, should answer a question that seemed disingenuous as that. And so I did not answer you as to whether or not I was okay, but I just want to say, this council, by no means, is my overseer, and I am not your Negro, and knowing
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
knowing where I am.
Thank you. Okay, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, the time's up.
Absolutely not.
No. You know what?
Is
I
absolutely
don't want
not
people
acceptable.
yelling out. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry you took it that way, but that's certainly not the way it was intended. Let's go to a discussion of the mayor's most recent comments. I wanted to know if there's any feedback from council on the mayor's, I'm talking about the Facebook post video comments on Wednesday evening. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, a question for Mr. Hetzel. Did the law department review that statement before it was released?
So
Before you answer that, any conversations with those people?
that's exact. Any request for legal advice that would come from the mayor would be subject to attorney-client privilege. And it's not the law department's privilege to waive.
So I guess a question for the mayor. Did the law department review the statement?
Okay. Did you have any other?
I guess,
Statement,
Mr.
yeah.
Hetzel, would you suggest that any statements be reviewed by the law department? Is it the case that a statement could adversely affect the city and that for that reason it would be prudent for it to be reviewed by the law department?
I can't make a hypothetical case-by-case determination, but the law department is available to both the mayor and any member of the executive branch, as well as the legislative branch of the city, to offer advice and opinions upon request.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Corresponding question. Council members on a variety of topics have issued public statements related to a variety of accusations that have been lobbed my way. Have any of those statements been run by the law department before being released publicly? I completely understand if you would prefer not to answer that.
Well, not to my knowledge. Did anybody else want to make a statement? Yes, go ahead, Councilwoman Larson.
We're talking about the statement that you made on Facebook. Mayor's statement was inadequate for this moment in Cleveland Heights. It sounded like because he and his wife used derogatory language directed at a member of the community, Jewish community, in a private, uncomfortable conversation, that was acceptable. It is not. If you are a leader and you're having a conversation among family or friends, when you're discussing an issue important to you, calling names, using hate speech, and being disrespectful is not appropriate nor acceptable. The mayor deflected and blamed Patrick for his current problems. In his statement, the mayor stated that his wife, quote, doled out a creative shorthand for her, unquote, quote, assigning the corresponding term, I will not say it again, to Ms. Jessica Cohen to reframe that power dynamic and help reduce the negative impact of that experience on me. Mayor said the words were a characterization, quote, in response to Ms. Cohen's actions, unquote. Mayor continues to support his wife's bigotry and hate speech. There is no excuse for this verbal assault on the character of one or any of our residents. That behavior disqualifies him as our mayor. The documented behavior of using profanity and directing anger at staff in City Hall and City Council by the mayor's wife on December 6th and 19th of 2024 and allegedly March 13th, 2025 was inappropriate and disgusting. The mayor's poor judgment enabled his wife by giving her continued access to City Hall, disregarding any affect her presence might have on city staff. The mayor did not apologize to staff in this city for those events. The mayor has not assumed accountability for his wife's unacceptable behavior, nor for his practice of enabling her access to City Hall. The lack of action disqualifies him as our mayor. The statement the mayor made May 21st did not even come close to providing healing to this city in this moment. People are still hurt and very upset. The mayor has not sincerely apologized to all those who've been hurt. The mayor's apparent lack of concern for the city's staff and residents disqualifies him as our mayor.
Point of order, point of order.
Councilman
Mr.
Cobb?
President, point of order. Could you please control?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilman Cobb.
This morning, several of us were out at the Jewish Federation at a breakfast that they host every year for elected officials in Cuyahoga County and statewide. Jessica Cohen was there this morning, and I had a chance to talk to her briefly. As I said last Monday night, since the mayor had not apologized to those individuals that were in his statement, I was going to apologize on behalf of the city for that hurt. I had expected that the mayor would at some point issue an apology for those statements. He did not. Instead, and specific to Jessica Cohen, suggested that the remarks that were made were warranted because she had made a racist comment about him. I've known Jessica for over 10 years. She sat next to me on the Planning Commission for many years until I came on the City Council. I sat in meetings with her for a year and a half on the Charter Review Commission. As I said Monday night, I know her character. It's above reproach. By essentially calling her a racist, the mayor aggravated the situation. She is hurting so bad. Her family is hurting so bad. And we still don't have an apology for those remarks. Instead, we have an excuse as to why they were made. And even if the lawyer has counseled you to be careful about what you're saying because we're now dealing with a legal matter, there are ways of handling that and making an apology without admitting fault.
You got to wrap it up. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you, Councilman. I would just, please, I would just say that, Monday, we really came together as a community in this room. And I think even though these are still allegations, I think that, since the mayor said he was going to make a statement on Tuesday, I think people were looking for something that would promote unity. And I think what happened was that he further divided the community rather than bringing people together. and in particular, the comments about Jessica Cohen were so ill-placed. This is a woman of such integrity and dedication to this community. She's the chair of the Planning Commission, very selfless person that cares deeply about this community. And instead, I'm watching this video, and there's all this verbal contortionism when a simple apology would have gone such a long way to healing and bringing us together. We have so many things we're working on right now. We're trying to get swimming back at the Heights High Pool. We're working on deer management. We're working on an ordinance that would ban key card access to non-employees to this facility. We're reviewing the charter. We got short-term rental regulations. This is all stuff that council's working on. And, you know, this is such a great community. So let's try, I know it's going to be difficult, but let's try to move on and get back to work and do our business. And I would just say, I don't know if anybody wants, I'm going down to the next item.
Mr. President,
Anybody would like
I've got a
to
comment to
I'm-
make on
I'm-
that particular
excuse me.
topic before we move
Excuse
on
me.
to the next topic.
If anybody is interested in doing a resolution, and I'm not suggesting we should, we could also discuss, something we brought up 6 months ago, which was the idea of having some kind of communications consultant. I got to tell you, last weekend, when all this anti-Semitism information was brought to our attention, I'm not complaining, but we had 200 pages of legislation to go over. And, I was glad to put together a resolution. I was glad that we were out there, with the demonstration and, preparing remarks. But, I still think we might need some help in that area. So I'm just looking to you, the council people that are there, and Vice President Russell, I'm sorry I didn't, if you had your hand up or anything, if you want to make a remark, I certainly want to give you a chance to do that.
Thank you so very much, President Kuda. I will raise my hand at the time.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any feelings on either of those two issues?
Mr. President, you're going to ignore my request?
No, I'm absolutely going to get to you. Yes.
Well, when you talk about a resolution, are you talking about a paper resolution or a resolution of where this city is at today? Because I think there's only one resolution that will satisfy the majority of the residents in this city, and we know what that is. So, the city is tearing itself apart. We've become the laughing stock of every other suburb. The residents have lost faith in their government and their mayor. They have, the employees, I believe, the mayor has lost their respect. How can we go forward for the next 7 months? We can't. And it's up to the mayor, if he loves this city, to decide, if he truly loves this city, what he needs to do.
I just want to explain that when I say resolution, I want it to be clear. It says council actions in section 111. We can speak in resolutions and ordinances, and it says shall speak. So I'm just suggesting if there's something that we want to do, it would have to be in that form. Anybody else want to speak? Please, Councilwoman Larson.
For Assistant Law Director Helzo, are there any legal actions that we can take according to the charter or whatever other regulations we need to abide by at this point in terms of a resolution?
In terms of a resolution, and that actually goes to, I think, what Council President Kuda was just saying. What do you mean when you say a resolution? You mean in terms of enacting a resolution, passing a resolution?
No, I mean, in terms of what we can call for. I mean, can we call for the resignation of the mayor?
Well, I mean, so could you, simply calling for the resignation of the mayor wouldn't have any legal force in effect.
Okay. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Thank you.
Any other comments before I go to the mayor? Okay, go ahead, Mayor.
All right, I want to make sure, because there's a council member on the screen who.
Yeah, I was,
spoken.
she said she'd put her hand up.
Okay. So again, I think that the comments since the beginning have shown that my estimate of this particular proceeding at the outset was pretty much on point. This is an exercise in electoral politics from the dais. Now, it feels to me that all of you can have your opinions about my opinions of people. Certainly, you're allowed. I think that it's telling, though, that commentary and a message that includes a conversation about actually looking at division within our community in a constructive way that can sometimes be uncomfortable. You view it as tearing it apart. But there are still things that show me that we have put our legacy on a shelf and we sit and stare at it. And we congratulate ourselves for what people did in the 70s. And we are not actually taking the steps to create bridges between peoples, to reduce those gaps, to inspect and then eliminate conspiracy theories as they abound in our community. Maybe you're not even having those conversations. Because I know that, according to Councilman Cobb, somebody brings up race, they're playing the race card. These sorts of deflections and a refusal to actually face some of the things that we have, even here in our so-called progressive, racially progressive city. We've still got a lot of work to do, and we will continue to have a lot of work to do. We're seeing it all across the country, and Cleveland Heights is absolutely not exempt from that. And the idea that we shouldn't be allowed to speak about this freely, especially in private, is ridiculous and counterproductive.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Is any other comments? Yeah, go ahead.
We're not talking about something that happened in the 60s or the 70s. We're talking about the here and now. And when you open this meeting with your remarks that you're not your Negro, that's the race card that you're playing instead of accepting responsibility for where we are. This council didn't put us here in this moment. You put us in this moment.
The idea
All right,
that you
no,
saw
we're
me
not
on
doing
Monday,
that. Excuse me, we're
you
not doing
saw
that.
a statement
Ladies and
on
gentlemen,
Wednesday,
this
and
meeting
you
is
actually
adjourned.
hold a meeting